Good evening. Good evening. I want to thank you all for tuning black in, and I hope you had a beautiful, beautiful day. And I came on this morning and I did, a little bit 20, 30 minutes or so of what has been happening since Wednesday. And I just wanted to, check in on everyone and make sure you all are well. And I believe that everything is in divine order. So, with that said, I wanted to, first of all, read my fair use disclaimer because I'm going to go in deep on a couple of things, perhaps controversial, but nevertheless, I'm going to read my fair use disclaimer. All right, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, uh, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute, which may not otherwise be infringing. Okay, so we got all of that out of the way. So I trust you all have been really leaning into this moment, and just know that you're protected. You're protected in so many ways. So many ways. We discussed earlier this morning about being powered up with your ancestors and connecting all the dots and giving thanks before I leave the house. I, send out a signal to my ancestors asking for protection, guidance. If I'm supposed to go one way and I end up going another, to just protect and guide me. So none of this has been more important till like years and years that have gone by. But the fact that we haven't been able to worship in our churches, synagogues, and mosques, I feel it's so important that we go within the spirit of God within. And the fact that we're not able to do that, I think it's so important for us to stay empowered and lifted and, know when and where to do things or how to do this. And this is our legacy. This is what we know to do. So I'm going to just be a quick reminder of perhaps what we should not do based on spirits, based on the God within. And so this is a great opportunity for us to stay at peace, stay at peace, stay at peace. And so, in this moment, just take a breath in and just blow it out. We are so protected. We're so protected. We are so protected. And with that said, I want to speak on the notion of reparations. I know we've been having a lot of discussion. I've been going to other social media outlets and, speaking, hearing about reparations, reparations, reparations. We all know that we have a need to be repaired. So that's a given. That's a given. But however, this season, it may not be the best time. We have to put on our we have to take off our blinders. We have to see everything that's going on around us and say, okay, we know we are in need of reparations. We need to be repaired. There cannot be any dollar amount that could do that. However, in these days and times, and we know that there is perhaps a monetary amount that could repay the suffering hundreds, and it's still today, hundreds and hundreds of years since we were brought here. So hey, let us be repaired. Allow us to be repaired. And it seems like there's a lot of pushback, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to just outline the events of last week and just say, keep in mind, let me find the delicate way to put it. So if you have a group A and then a B, so A has had, their neck on our neck has been in the eye, and it's just been a horrific time here. But we've made the best because we're creative. We throw footballs. We are in boardrooms. We have companies, etc. So this wasn't something that they expected, because they expected us to build this country and be gone. The suffering upon suffering upon suffering. It's horrific, and it's still happening. It's still happening today. So with that, we recognize that this country is becoming browner and browner. Okay? And so in the understanding that if we were about nothing, about to do nothing, and period, they wouldn't have to go to the cabinet and barge in and this and that and blah blah, because Trump tapped into a simmering situation. He knew what would happen because these folks, after Obama, they got Trump in. I don't know if it was hook or crook, but he got in. Okay, so we know he got in by hook or crook. And I just want to say that if we were about nothing, not going to ever have anything, etc., we wouldn't be a threat to the society at large. Okay. So now we have a woman of color, Black woman, or whatever, however she self-identifies, but she is a woman of color. She went to Howard, so she is in a sorority. So all practical purposes, she is a woman of color, perhaps a Black woman. She may identify as a Black woman. But the scale is tipping towards people. The country is becoming browner and browner. And that's a threat. That's a serious threat. That's a serious threat. 100 years or more. Let's see, this is 2021. So a little over 100 years ago, well, yeah, we were free, quote unquote free, But we had a lot of opposition, and it's to today. So this is nothing new. This is nothing new. As we talked about earlier today, we know what this looks like. Okay, it's a little bit more in your face, but we know the tools in our tool bank. We know how to navigate, to be victors and be victorious. So if Caucasians, and again, we have allies and all that, blah, 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 but the people front and center that was actually on the mall, they had they had a noose, they had hang, this person, hang that person. This is not what this is what this country is about. Okay. This is what this country is about. Whether you have been working, you've been self-employed, etc. I know for the most part, we have not, received compensation, adequate compensation. We are, last hired, first fired. So we know all of that. But still we thrive. We thrive. We do well for the most part. I mean, the fact that we've had people on our neck, so to speak, for hundreds of years, and we are still thriving, surviving, that says a lot. Because the folks that were out on Wednesday, they feel the pressure. They feel them being kind of chiseled out of the big picture, because the country is becoming browner and browner and browner. Hence, Kamala, and Biden is old school. He's been around, 100,000 years, but she is the right hand person. So, say what you want. It is what it is. If you voted for that ticket, fine. If you voted for another ticket, fine. I'm not here to talk about one way or the other, but this is the reality. And they're being ushered in about 8 days or 9 days. So these people are not going anywhere. They are not going anywhere. They were always kind of simmering. And then Trump came and put, out front and center. So he doesn't make any bones about it. He is what he is, who he is, and deal with it. Okay. So they feel very, very much squeezing out of the society, whether they live in the basement of their parents or whatever. If they have a home, 3,000 square foot home, whatever. But at the end of the day, they recognize they're being they're squeezing out. They're being eliminated, if you will. Not overnight, but they recognize the pressure. They recognize the tension, So I just want to say this: um, if you live alone, if you have, a companion in the house, be ready. I ain't going to go into whatever be ready means to you. Be ready, because these folks are not going away, and they're going down swinging. Okay. So keep all of that in mind, because This is why we know the importance of peace, oneness, God within, tapping into God throughout the universe. We're going to be okay. We are going to be okay. But nevertheless, you know, make sure you are protected, whatever that means. Learning martial arts, being able to kick a gun out of somebody's hand. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what needs to happen, but we should be, prepared. I'll just say prepared. So with that said, I'm going to go into reparations, go back into reparations. This is going to be a hard pill to swallow because 99% of my mind, body, and spirit, we need reparations. We need to be repaired. Fill in the blank. We need, especially right now. But the 2%, I'm feeling that we need to pause because we have to be careful. For example, if the new administration, they come in, 100 days have come and gone, they've had some progress, blah, blah, blah. But now they're saying, okay, we're going to have a task force for reparations, let's just say. Okay, 6 months from now or 4 months from now, they have a task force. They're going to discuss and study, and I definitely will be able to go into that room to kind of discuss. But nevertheless, if they come up with a point of conversation, considering what needs to happen, the amount, et cetera, et cetera, it may take 3 or 4 months. So, or maybe 6 months, or maybe 8 months. Should we expect that compensation? Let's just say it is, I'll just say $3 million. $3 million. 3 is a good number for me. I'm just going to say $3 million. I don't even know per family. I don't know what the details would be, but let's just say $3 million per family of 4, $3 million or whatever. These folks from Wednesday, they knew probably nothing would happen to them. That's another story, another time. But that's the whole, very much, it's two systems that we are governed. And the new administration must deal with that. But I digress. I don't want to go too far over there. But yeah, I really feel that we're under 2 different systems. That's why they knew nothing would happen, or not much of anything. It's probably a misdemeanor, something, a little slap on the wrist. Okay. But if they recognize, if it's public knowledge, in the newspaper, page 2 of the New York Times or Washington Post, okay, Daily News, okay, it's front and center. People of African descent, if we've done the research, blah, 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 they're going to be given $3 million per family. Don't you think, I don't even want to say this, but if Wednesday happened on its own, just in their head, the election was, one quote unquote fan square. I wasn't there, but, Let's just say it was fair and square. Okay, it is fair and square. That was without provocation. Now, if we are going to receive, let's just say $3 million per household, huh? Are they just going to, okay, we're going to go away with our, our head down. We're going to be defeated. Oh boy. This isn't going to happen. This is not going to happen. And we're so spread out in this country. It's not like we have a couple of, we're in 3 states, We are so spread out. I'm out here in Arizona. My family is back east, New York, Florida, Carolinas. I mean, we're spread out. And you think Caucasians will not go to town on any person of African descent that they see, that you go and get groceries, you come up missing. I don't want to go into the fear mind, the fear mode. I don't operate from that. However, I know what the mindset there was horrific. I mean, it was horrible. And they knew they could get away with it. Okay. So with that said, now they already feel pushed out, out of society, the country is becoming browner. We've got the elected officials and they're going to, literally roll out in 8 days and more diversity, and they were hoping those 2 Senate seats they would hold on to the House. I mean, the Senate. That didn't happen. And the Republicans, the GOP, they have a lot of cleanup to do if they're ever going to be viable. I mean, they have 2 senators that, Cruz, and I forgot the other guy, had the fist up. I mean, they're trying to have them resign. Go figure that. I don't know. Hold your breath. I don't know. But this is what I am saying. There is no way they are going to be able to say, hey, well, it's well deserved, African Americans or Black people, they toiled, and, the ancestors, they definitely needed to get their repair. Hey, not going to happen. It is not going to happen. And so what I am saying to you is we feel that it would definitely be a race war. It would definitely be, I don't even want to think about it. It would definitely be horrible. We think Wednesday was horrible. Sorry about that. So yeah, we need to pay close attention. I know we're caught up in reparations. Definitely. I am in 100% agreement. 100% agreement. We have earned our blood, sweat, and tears in the soil. It's in the soil. All the buildings, all downtown, absolutely, was erected. Was there a dime paid? No. So I am absolutely on board with reparations. No question about it. But is this the right time? They lost the House. They lost the Senate. Um, the new administration is coming in. They're going to have a more array of United States representing, what America looks like. I'm in 100% agreement. Okay, that's cool. But nevertheless, we have to be mindful. We have to know who and what we're dealing with. These are animals. Trump received 7 million votes less than Biden, or maybe 8 million. I'm not 100% sure. But, and probably Green Party, had a few thousands of votes. But nevertheless, a lot of people voted for Trump. A lot of people, with everything that he's done, everything, good people on both sides, all those comments, blah, blah, blah. He had less than 7 million votes, less than Trump. Less than Biden. Those people aren't going anywhere. We have to think this thing through. I'm not saying when, or I'm not saying if. I believe we definitely are in need repair. So I'm not that person that says, oh, let bygones be bygones. No. Every building I look at, I can see blood, sweat, and tears in the soil. This is the beauty living in the city. So sorry about that. Okay. So, yeah, I think we need to be mindful of everything. We have to think. I know we're in the emotion. I get it. Totally get it. But we have to come from a sacred space. We have to come from a divine place. And if it's not now, perhaps we may think after some stuff settles, perhaps a task force would be, a part of the decision making, and we will get reparations. I do believe that. But I think right now, with the climate that is circulating, Wednesday, I think I mentioned it earlier, they had two columns. I forgot which network. I'm not going to shout out a network, but I saw two columns, and they had Black Lives Matter, peaceful protests. Maybe a couple of people got out of hand, in your face, blah, blah, blah. But they had 270, I believe, arrests, and the right side, which was the insurrection, 68. Maybe it's up to 70, 75, 80. And we saw thousands of people there. Probably 3 or 4,000. I don't know. I don't know the count. I'm not sure. But we know what time it is. Did we expect to see? It was just proof positive that our system of justice is injustice. We see that. We see that time and time again. Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice, George Floyd. The list goes on. The list goes on. And so we have to be mindful. We have to follow suit of saying, we've waited. If it's another 6 months, it's another 6 months. But we need to arm ourselves, protect ourselves. If you need to take some classes of self-defense, I'm all for that because I know, I trust, and I believe that we will get reparations, perhaps in this administration. If we flood the emails, um, we flood we get letters to Congress. I don't know for sure, but I think it cannot go unanswered. That's my hope. That's my hope. Okay. And so, get out your paper and pen, even if it's, have 1.5 pages. And we know the power of the pen. I know the power of the pen. And so we can make change in that way. So don't be discouraged. Our lives are magical. Our lives are amazing because we've survived the worst Holocaust ever, and we're still here. That's the gift of our ancestors. We are still here. Most of us are thriving. Some of us are surviving. But nevertheless, we are still here. Okay? Get over it. We are still here. So keep that all in mind. I believe that this too shall pass. I want to encourage everyone to get a letter to their representative, House of Representatives, Senate, whomever, and we probably can get something moving before summer. That's my hope. That's my hope. And so this is like going to be a short video. I really appreciate your time, attention. I don't want you to be discouraged. We know what time it is. We knew what time it is before the footage, before we saw thousands of people and only 68 or 69 got arrested. We knew that. Okay, it was just proof positive in your face. But yeah, we know all of that. So don't be surprised. Oh, I'm surprised. No, you know what's up. They did not expect us to survive, let alone thrive. That's like they're still scratching their head. They know what we went through, our ancestors went through. They knew that the thought was you build this country from ground up, you pick the cotton, you cut the wood, you build whatever for a few hundreds and hundreds of years. We're still being quote unquote oppressed. Injustice in a just system, injustice we receive. We see all of that front and center. But we still thrive. We still do well, relatively speaking. Our mind is good, our heart is good. We would never have done that type of action. This is a desperate people. This is a desperate situation. They sense desperation. They lost the House, they lost the Senate. Folks are rolling in. I don't know what's going to happen. I pray that, everyone's going to be safe next week. I think it's after MLK Day. So we need to just stay on the wheel, steady on the wheel. I don't know when, but I feel we can get some letters out. Our Congress people, our senators, and I do believe the squeaky wheel gets the grease, So be encouraged, be encouraged, be encouraged. We are still here. We are thriving. We are surviving. At minimum, we are surviving, but we are thriving. And I'm talking about, I'm talking to everyone. If you're, um, let's just say you are a celebrity, you have wealth, um, you have power, prestige, and everyone else has power, prestige, etc. So contact your senators, House representative, whomever. Get letters out, contact them, get them on the phone. If you even talk to someone, the assistant, or three down, instead of talking to the person that you like to speak with. So if we get those letters out, those emails out, we can definitely make change. We can definitely make change. Now, we can say, okay, the cutoff is the end of the year. That's a magical number. But the cutoff is the end of the year. We don't have anything tangible. We don't have receipts. It's a done deal. Okay. So now we can make decision as to what to do next. I'm going to give them a few moments to get in the office, get everything set up, get the people in place, and see. Don't give up. Don't give up. Because our ancestors would not want us to give up. Our ancestors would want us to thrive, continue to thrive. And that's all we know to do. That is what we know to do. So I'm going to say good night. Have a wonderful evening. Be safe. And don't forget to lift up your ancestors, even if it's a small little table that you can have all the memories in one area, and just lift up your ancestors, because they're just waiting. They're waiting patiently. And I'm going to say maybe 40%, 30%, they have altars, but the rest, I want to encourage you to erect an altar. Talk to your ancestors as if they're right here. They're right next door. And just say, hey, this is what's going on, and just say, hey, I'm going for this job, or, I'm going for this application to build my business, start my business. And you'd be surprised. You should not be surprised. Let me say it like that. You should not be surprised. The ancestors are right around the spiritual corner. So stay safe, be well. I don't want you to be discouraged. And we're going to get through this. We are getting through this. And stay safe. We'll talk about, I think, COVID again. I didn't want to talk too much about it from last year, but that's one thing that, last Wednesday, it wasn't even, they didn't even talk about COVID. So that was good. But I think they're kind of, cranking it up. So we'll talk about that in the next few days. All right, stay safe. Have a wonderful, beautiful night. Thank you for tuning in. The Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe. Peace.